Cool. Awesome. I can see some participants starting to join. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Just to let everyone know that's joining, this isn't like a normal meetup. We're encouraging you to chat all throughout the session. So please feel free to jump on the chat function and let us know you're here. Give us a little wave. Would love to hear where you guys are calling from.
Great to see you there, Maddie. Hey, Remy.
A lot of your friends, Andy.
Morning, Leah.
Oh, hi, Donna. Hi, Ebony. Guys, when you are messaging in the chat, unfortunately, it's a really weird thing with Zoom where it defaults to just send a message to all panelists. So if you click on that little box and you can change it to all panelists and attendees, that will get you talking to everybody rather than just us, which is always fun. Hey, Remy. Yeah, that little tip always helps. I always find whenever we're doing these meetups, I get a lot of messages and I can't always answer them. So I think it's always really good that we switch that around and put it out to attendees as well. Hi, Tony. How are you?
Definitely. Hey, Tony.
Awesome. We'll just give it a couple more minutes to let everyone trickle through. Would love to know where everyone is dialing in from today. Are you guys in Brisbane? Are you in Sydney? Are you in Melbourne and celebrating now that the lockdown restrictions have eased a little bit? Oh, Northern Beaches, Susie. Very nice. Alrighty, we're at 10:32. So Andy, if it's cool with you, I reckon we should kick off.
Sounds great. Let's get
Fantastic. Awesome. So first of all, thank you everyone for joining us for the virtual Shopify meetup today. As you can probably tell by the first slide here, this is going to be co-presented by the Reload Media team, which is where I'm from, and then also the team at Process Creative. So if you've received one of the invites from one of us, there is a reason why we're both on here. So super excited to collaborate with the team on this one. Now, before we get started, and I know I've been mentioning this throughout the start here, is this isn't like any other, I guess, in-person meetup. We really want to encourage everyone to use the chat function, get to know the panelists and get to know the other attendees who are dialing in today. If you are using the chat function, just remember to change the drop down so you're not just talking to all panelists, but add it to attendees. We are going to be doing a Q&A session at the end of this meetup and the end of the presentation. So please feel free to add any of your questions into the chat. We do have a couple of reloaders on there as attendees, so they'll actually be pulling the questions and we'll pop them into a big Q&A sheet and we'll try and get to everything that we can before the end of the session. And also this will be recorded, so we'll be sharing that with you later today as well. So no need to take crazy screenshots of anything that we put up there. Everything will be sent through at the end. Oh yeah, that's how you use the chat function, just at the bottom there, in case you didn't see it. Awesome. So just a little bit about the sponsors, I guess, that have sort of putting this on today. So as I mentioned, I'm Emily. I'm from Reload Media. Reload Media are a digital marketing agency based here in Brisbane. We have offices all around the world. So we have an office in the Philippines and in the UK, able to service worldwide clients. So we are a Shopify Plus marketing partner, and we kind of do everything from digital transformations through to SEO migrations, all the way through to the actual implementation of all of your digital strategy. So that's a little bit about Reload. Andy, I'll hand it over to you to do the little thing about Process.
Sure. Morning, everybody. It's really great to be co-hosting this webinar today, and thank you all for coming. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andy, and I'm the director at Process Creative. We're a digital agency based in Redfern, Sydney, and we've been around for about 14 years. There's now 25 of us. We're proud Shopify Plus partners and recognised as one of the leading Shopify agencies in the region. We work with brands such as Frank Green, Topeka, Oxford, and Carla Zampatti. We specialise in custom brand-led sites and leading the charge against commoditised cookie-cutter commerce. We help you better communicate your brand narrative whilst also delivering a truly memorable, unique experience that fosters genuine engagement, loyalty, and conversions. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you're interested in having a chat about any and all things e-commerce. Next slide. Kicking off now, 2020. Wow, it's been some year. Obviously, it's been really tough for a lot of businesses out there, but the one huge silver lining is that e-commerce is well and truly booming. I am myself still amazed at the phenomenal growth that we're still seeing across the board. There are so many opportunities out there, and perhaps there is no greater opportunity than the upcoming holiday season, and in particular BFCM. So today we've got an amazing panel of speakers to discuss that very topic and more. We'll be hearing from Amy Zobek from Shopify Plus, Lucinda Baumeister from Facebook and Instagram, as well as Daniel Peacock, co-owner and founder of SkinMart and Glow Skin Body. Today, each talk will run for about 10 minutes, followed by a Q&A panel at the end. So again, please feel free to pop any questions into the chat panel as we go. And now, first up, we have Amy Zobek. Amy works in enterprise sales for Shopify Plus within the APAC region. Over her 12-year career, Amy has worked in a number of roles across unified communications, SaaS, and digital advertising, roles that have included a local, regional, and global focus. At Shopify Plus, Amy works with enterprise merchants looking to customize, automate, scale, and grow their e-commerce businesses. And today, Amy's going to talk to us a little bit about all things BFCM. Over to you, Amy.
Good morning and welcome everyone to the first virtual meetup that I have presented on. Again, thank you all for joining. I'm really excited to be talking to you about BFCM, sharing some data and insights from the Shopify and Shopify Plus team, as well as talking to you about some recommended holiday offers and deal structures. We know that some of you had some questions around some of the best practices for BFCM, what some of the recommendations are. So we're going to make sure that we give you some takeaways from today to make sure that you can go ahead and implement them on your store leading up to BFCM in about a month's time. Next slide, please. So just a little bit about me. So I am based in Sydney, originally from the south coast of New South Wales, around the Jervis Bay area, for anyone that knows that area. And I'm coming up to my 2-year anniversary at Shopify Plus. So as Andy mentioned, working with merchants all across Asia Pacific, helping them to scale their e-commerce operations on Shopify and Shopify Plus. What am I looking forward to buying for BFCM? Probably a new dress for summer. Some brands I've mentioned there are all on Shopify Plus, and I've watched a lot of them scale and grow on Shopify and now on Shopify Plus. So it's really exciting to see these local Australian brands on the platform and doing very, very well. So let's jump into a little bit about Black Friday and some of the trends. And I know that a lot of you have probably been inundated with a lot of data over the last few months around what BFCM is going to look like this year, some of the trends. But what I've done is I've pulled out some of the most important pieces out of all of that data that I'll be presenting to you today. So that's some data that Shopify Plus ourselves have put together through surveys of our Shopify Plus merchants, but also our partners as well. So we've also got data from Google, which I'll be sharing. And we want to make sure that you're asking questions as much as possible. So feel free to pop them in the chat. We want it to be very collaborative and very engaging. So make sure that you do ask your questions and we'll get to them at the panel at the end. Next slide, please. So yes, commerce has changed this year since March with everything that has gone on. And really, if you think about it, we've had 10 years of evolution really happen in 1 year. So it really has pulled forward a lot of timelines around how commerce businesses have been running. If we think about in-person selling, that has been essentially flipped on its head. We've got job insecurity, we've got uncertainty, how people buy has all changed. Next slide, please. So in terms of the way that it has changed, we really want to understand how BFCM will look this year. And so in September, we actually collected some data from around 165 Shopify Plus merchants to really get a feel for what their expectations were for for BFCM this year. And so really, you'll see here, even with everything that's gone on with job insecurity, with people changing the way they buy, with in-store retail shutting down in some parts of the world, 95% of the brands we surveyed still expected consumers to purchase online this year instead of in-store. And 86% of brands expect online purchases this year to exceed the number of online purchases made during the same period last year. And so I actually presented BFCM this time last year in Sydney. It was a live event, if you remember what those were like. And to see that these stats have come through a year later with everything that's gone on this year is really, really promising and really exciting. One of the big differences though that we have noticed, however, is that buyers are expecting a good deal this year. With everything that has gone on, they are expecting to see some discounts, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Next slide, please. So two of the key trends that we are seeing will potentially impact BFCM this year is shopping earlier and value over price. So we actually had Justin DeGraff from Google present at one of our merchant success events last month. And he spoke a little bit about these two concepts. So first of all, about Google research says that about 73% of shoppers actually plan to do more holiday shopping this year than they did last year. And 77% are going to be buying online instead of in-store. So really, we want our merchants to be taking this to their advantage. We also know, though, that buyers are now conditioned to this type of behavior. And so we've actually seen with Shopify and Shopify Plus merchants an increase in abandoned carts. We're actually seeing consumers putting items in their cart and actually not proceeding through to checkout. And we believe that this is due to customers popping those items in their cart and then waiting for sales and deals to come up over the next holiday period to then take advantage of them. They're doing a lot more shopping around and really taking advantage of this upcoming sale period. Next slide, please. We also have seen a shift around the way that consumers are looking at purchasing from a whole variety of businesses. So you can see here, again, Google research telling us that US shoppers are planning to shop local, which is very exciting for Shopify businesses that are on the platform, rather than looking at kind of larger global businesses, really looking at how they can support their local shops, which is really, really exciting. And 30% of consumers are purchasing from brands that they've never bought from before. So if you think about that from an acquisition strategy, potentially having 30% of your customers, new customers that you've acquired, we want to make sure that we're doing things like making sure you've got really clear offers in all of your emails around acquisition, ensuring that your Facebook pixel is implemented so that you can retarget those new customers as well as you're driving them to your store. And then if you do have a loyalty or reward program in place, really making sure that you review that program and making sure that it is suiting these new buyers that will be coming through to your store over this season. So I've already got offers that have been coming through to my inbox already. Here's just a couple of screenshots that I have taken. But you can see here that, as mentioned, it is going to be starting a lot earlier this year. So what can we be doing now to start preparing for the holiday season? So in terms of BFCM, there's been a lot of talk around, will BFCM be cancelled this year? And we know that it won't be cancelled, but we know that it will be different. So we've seen, again, a change in buying behavior. Not only are consumers expecting a deal over the next period. They're also purchasing different things. So we've seen on the Shopify platform, stores around health and beauty, hair care products, loungewear. We've seen a real increase in sales revenue from those particular stores. So it's not so much that the merchants are completely cancelling BFCM. It's really around looking at different ways in which you can engage with those consumers, thinking about different products, different offers, which I'll be talking through in a moment. Authenticity came up a lot with the Shopify Plus merchants that we engaged with. So really looking at how your brand can stand out in the crowd, potentially looking at trying new ideas throughout this period as well, and making sure that whatever you do, it is working for your brand. And we'll go over some ideas shortly around what that can look like, but making sure that you're using all of the data that's available to you, whether that's through Shopify, Facebook, or Google, and then making informed decisions based off that data that you have available to you. So if we have a look at last year compared to this year, one of the key things that stand out here is that most of our merchants will be looking at engaging with a Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaign earlier than before. And so again, we've only really got a month until we kick off official Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So thinking about what you can do in the lead up to that to help prepare you for that period. And then of course, for us, it will be leading us into Christmas and Boxing Day sales as well. So what are we going to do for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Again, it's really looking at what is in your data. So making these informed decisions, taking ideas, but not just discounting for the sake of it. So we know that this year has been tough on some retailers, whether it's been in person or online. We've got a variety of different businesses that are on the call today. But really looking at what's going to work for your business, things like having, low stock, shipping. There's a whole bunch of things to take into consideration. So it's really around maximizing this specific period, but not undercutting your profits or margins on different products as well. So it's really around looking at some different strategies that are going to work best for your business to maximize those profits, but not put your business in any compromising positions. Next slide. So let's jump into those. This is the exciting bit. We've taken a look here at a lot of different Shopify Plus, Shopify merchants, taking all of the data that we've had available to us through surveys and also through our partners like Google. And here is some different offers and holiday deal structures that you can be looking at implementing on your Shopify store. So in terms of the Shopify brands that we did engage with for the survey, 77% would be offering similar discounts to last year's BFCM. So they look like offering a flat discount store-wide, 55% offering free shipping, and then 38% are offering a gift with purchase. Next slide. So what can this look like? First of all, we have got VIP access. So we know that the majority of revenue will come from the top 20% of your customers on store. So can you do something like, celebrate those customers through maybe offering them free express delivery, maybe offering them specific products, locking away content as well that you only make available to those VIP customers, or maybe you can hold a virtual event as well. Next slide. Also creating moments of delight. So not just with discounts, but can you offer a charitable donation to a specific charity on behalf of your customers? So really thinking outside the box. And we actually have seen, if you just go through to the next slide, that we did actually have one of our merchants, Assembly Label, offer an ethical discount. And that was actually through asking customers what they would like to pay for a specific item. So as you can see, they could actually include the price that they wanted to pay, and then that would be included, and the extra amount would then be donated to a charitable organization. Next slide. We've also got bundles and buy one, get one free. So this can be using some dead stock that you do have available to you, making sure that you are then including that within that bundle price to get rid of that stock, but then also increasing that average order value, and particularly for those new customers that you'd be looking at acquiring throughout this period. We've also got time discounts. So we've seen this to be working really well, which is where you actually can create some urgency with your customers through creating higher discounts throughout the first day of the sale and actually tapering off that discount throughout the period over the weekend as well. So that really helps with forecasting and creating engagement and urgency with your customers as well. And then finally, we do have gift with purchase as mentioned. So again, creating a experience for your customers. This may be for VIP only, or it could be for all customers, again, depending on stock levels and what that looks like. But this will create additional average order value on your store throughout this period as well, without necessarily just giving a discount or a blanket wide discount across your store. And here's just an example of a merchant who's doing this at the moment as well. Perfect. So that is it for me. Like I said, pop any questions in the chat and I'll hand it back over to Andy.
Thank you so much, Amy. So many great actionable insights in there, and I hope you're all taking notes, but if not, remember, don't stress, there will be a recording sent out later today. Yeah, we're definitely telling our clients to go big and to go early this year. Early VIP access to BFCM promos is another really, really great recommendation. Thanks so much, Amy. On to our next speaker, and backed by popular demand, we have Lucinda Baumeister, Client Solutions Manager for e-commerce at Facebook and Instagram. Lucinda has worked in e-commerce and digital marketing since 2013 across the US, Australia, Hong Kong, and Singapore. She is focused on both marketplace and direct-to-consumer businesses in the e-commerce space, predominantly in the fashion and beauty industries. Today, Lucinda's talking to us about how you can win this Cyber Weekend with Facebook and Instagram. Over to you, Lucinda.
Thanks, Andy. Hi, everyone. For those of you who have met me before, hello again. For those of you who haven't, I'm Lucinda, or Lucy, and I work at Facebook, and Facebook owns Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Oculus, Audience Network, a whole host of platforms. We call them the Facebook family of apps and services. If we go to the next slide, that's me. So living on the northern beaches of Sydney. I moved back from Singapore just over a year ago now. Nearly been at Facebook for 3 years and have loved it the whole time. Prior to that, I was working on the client side for a beauty company on Shopify. So Shopify holds a very special place in my heart, and particularly coming onto Facebook and working at Facebook, the connection between Shopify and Facebook is incredible. The integration is so seamless, and they are definitely one of our preferred partners. So happy to be here. Nice to meet everyone who I haven't met. So what we're going to go through today is really covering the basics on how to win Cyber Weekend coming up. I'm actually just going to set myself a timer so I know how long I'm speaking for. So we're going to go through scheduling, machine learning, targeting, and creative. Let's kick in to scheduling. So first things first, let's go through the basics. Consider how long it's actually going to take you to set up your campaigns, ad sets, and ads. A lot of clients say to me, oh, I'm going to set it up next week or the week after, and it gets to crunch time and everyone's scrambling, creative's not functioning properly, you're stuck in review, everything's pending, and it's real panic stations. And the consistent theme, I think, is that we need to be going early this year. Sorry, let's go back one more slide. So considering how long it's going to take to set those up, looking at the review time, like I said, it can take up to 6 hours. So you really want to be setting things up 24 to 48 hours before your intentional live date, just as a little buffer. Next slide. So usually I'm all about audience participation, and unfortunately I can't see any of you, but have you ever purchased something that you didn't know you needed? I'm a classic at this one. I have so much stuff that I buy that I didn't know that I needed. And Facebook and Instagram are perfect for that. So Google is an amazing intent platform. I want to buy an automatic pet feeder. So I Google automatic pet feeder and I get that straight away from Google. What if I don't know I want to buy something? What if I don't know a product that I need exists? So that's where we have the discovery element of Facebook and Instagram and our machine learning. So by going early, you can get ahead of the pack and capture the consumer share of wallet before your competitors. So if I didn't know I needed something, the day of Cyber Weekend is probably too late. So you really want to be going early to be able to really trigger that discovery and make the most of it. If we go to the next slide, when is the best time to go live? So this is a really common question. There's a lot of reasons you should go early. We're recommending going sort of the Monday or the Tuesday before the actual Friday. And there's a few reasons for that. CPMs are notoriously high during this time. Not only are you competing with local competitors who have come online rather than rely on brick and mortar stores, you're also competing with international competitors. So Americans love Australian consumers, so do European businesses. So we really need to be going early to take advantage of lower CPMs. Earlier equals cheaper. What is the learning phase and how will it affect me? So that is a massive one that we talk to clients about all the time. Learning is basically, in a nutshell, I put it in bold here. During learning, your budget is being spent learning and not achieving what you actually want to achieve on platform. So the longer you're in learning, the more unstable your CPAs are going to be. And if you make any changes on your ad set or campaign, you're going to re-trigger learning. So the best way to get through learning is 50 conversions within 7 days. Obviously, if we're running a short form sales period, we want to get through 50 conversions within the first few hours. Best way to do that is either upweight your budget at the beginning of the campaign or assign a lower intent signal. So if we're optimizing for a purchase and we don't think we can get 50 purchases within that sort of 6 to 12 hours, optimize for a lower intent signal like add to cart or view content. Go to the next slide, please. Machine learning, the 4 commandments. So I work with clients like Amazon, The Iconic, Pet Circle, Kogan, and this machine learning narrative is something that I repeat over and over and over again. Basically, in a nutshell, machines are way smarter than people. So take the guesswork out of buying media. Go to the next slide, please. Commandment 1 of machine learning, always use broad audiences. And when I say broad, I mean, depending on your demographic, male, female, 18 plus, Australia-wide or worldwide. We have so many signals on platform and via the pixel. Our machine learning connects the best user to your business seamlessly. So it takes the guesswork out, it's faster, it's more efficient, and CPAs are going to be lower. If we go to commandment 2, always use automatic placement, bonus points for asset customization. So advertisers can become really obsessed with those single placement efficiencies, but we look at things on an average. So really we want to be putting money into the placements that work the best on an average. So try not to cherry pick, just hit automatic placement. There's a lot of concern around how an image renders on stories, for example. You can go ahead and use asset customization and load the correct spec into the placement that you want. So you avoid having that kind of ugly render of the big copy at the bottom and the weirdly placed asset in stories, for example. So that's commandment 2. Commandment 3, keep things simple. Please don't go ahead and create thousands of campaigns and think you're going to trick the system. It never works. The more campaigns you have, the more activity you have, the longer it's going to take for you to go through learning, and your CPA is going to be higher. So what I'm recommending is buying on 2 or 3 campaigns maximum. And that's for everyone from, the local store down the road that's just started online, and it's also to the iconics of the world. So we're thinking maybe 1 reach campaign, 1 conversion campaign, and 1 catalog sale campaign. Looking at working towards targeting both broad audiences and then maybe your web traffic from the last 6 months. Easy as, keep it simple. Commandment 4, using lifetime budgets. I get this a lot. Do I use daily or lifetime? Lifetime's better because it's going to look at the schedule that you've set and it's going to pace the right way. So it's going to take all those factors into consideration. Again, machines are way smarter than people. So let the system work for you rather than having to tweak it. The other thing is you can scale your investment up or down much more efficiently with a lifetime than you can with a daily. Cool. Next slide, targeting. So if we go to the next slide, the targeting conversation I have with people is so complicated and it doesn't need to be. So your approach to targeting on Facebook and Instagram during Cyber Weekend, and actually all the time, should be broken down into just two different personas. Those two personas are, for a bit of fun, existing Elliot and new Neil. So existing Elliot, he knows who you are and what you stand for as a brand. He knows that you're getting a good deal when you go on sale. He's already bought into your brand. So he already knows who you are. They already know who you are. You don't need to do any extra selling. In order to target those people, you use your web custom audiences, your first party data, and engagement targeting through Ads Manager. So first party data, EDM list is a really good one to load into the system. From a privacy perspective, it's all hashed, so we don't actually know who's in there. It's just really efficient targeting. Web custom audiences, the one I would always recommend is just web visits rather than focusing on view content or add to cart. Go as broad as you can. Then new Neil, they don't know anything about your brand or category potentially. They're unsure if the incentive you're offering is good value because they don't know anything about your brand or category. And they might already have a favorite brand in that category. So you really need to think about, what are you saying to this person that's going to get them hooked? So Elliot knows who you are. He knows that 25% off site-wide is a great deal. Neil, he doesn't know. So what is it that we're going to say to him that's going to drive him to site? In order to target Neil, we're looking at broad audiences, lookalike audiences based on previous purchases. And yeah, that's basically it. So super simple is the key. We go to the next slide, please. So the last one, motivation-led creative. If we go to the next slide, I think on this call, there'll be varying levels of maturity when it comes to Facebook and Instagram advertising. So what I've seen in my experience is when you first start advertising on Facebook and Instagram, it's like all this low-hanging fruit. It's low CPAs, it's high returns on investment, it's really easy to acquire business on platform. After a while, that starts to plateau and even out, and you kind of see CPAs starting to rise. That's because you've exhausted all of the low-hanging fruit based on your individual selling point. So the example we have here is for craft soda. If we click to the next build, awesome. So your existing customers, the high intent customers, they buy craft soda because they love soda. They love fizzy drink, amazing. So that's that upward trend. When we start to flatten out, we've exhausted everyone that likes fizzy drink. So we need to start thinking about what else motivates people. We go to the next build, please. So we start looking at other motivators. I love organic flavors. The shop is close by. So I love one particular flavor and I love quality. So we use that motivation-led creative to find new business. Go to the next slide, please. This is how you can sort of break that down. So considering motivators and barriers around consumption for your product or category. So for craft soda, a barrier that we might identify is there's not going to be a flavor for me. So by using 36 flavors in your creative, it does what it says on the tin. It's pretty obvious that there will be a flavor for me out of 36. And if I can't find a flavor, that's my problem. The second one is the shop is close by. Why would I buy fizzy drink from an online retailer? Well, we've got free shipping. So the other thing that's really key at the moment is contactless delivery and people trying to be COVID safe. So free contactless delivery, cool. How could I argue with that? Awesome. And then lastly, a motivator rather than a barrier is I care about craft and all natural ingredients. So there was a build on this video and it basically is like so obvious what this is. It's got basil flying around the screen and it looks fresh. So what we're trying to do is take the motivator and put it into a creative approach. We go to the next slide, please. You guys will get this recording. So, you can do that activity later or you can take a screenshot, whatever. This is the barriers and motivators, the barriers and motivators activity. So it says on the right-hand side how to go through that. I'd highly, highly recommend that everyone do this activity because it's going to help you look at what is our next creative approach. Creative is a massive blocker for a lot of clients. So just work through this really simple activity as a group. You know, if you're a 2-person business, a 1-person business, a 20-person business, get together and identify all those barriers and motivators together. Next slide, please. Helpful resources. Again, you guys will get these helpful resources at the end, so no need to screenshot. If we go to the next slide, there's Facebook Help Center. Facebook Blueprint is our basically Facebook college, so you can upskill yourself through that. And then Instagram for business as well. So highly recommend going through these resources prior to Cyber Weekend, because once you're in it and you have a problem, it's going to be really hard to try and figure out in a panic. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for your time, everyone, and good luck.
Thanks so much, Lucinda. Some great content there and really timely too. Even more reasons to go early this year and make sure you're prepared. And don't be afraid to get a little help from the Facebook, Instagram automation robots. They're pretty good at what they do. Last, but by no means least, we have Daniel Peacock. Daniel is the co-owner and director of not one, but 2 premium online stockists for professional skincare, SkinMart and Glow Skin Body. I might add that we're very fortunate to have Daniel as one of our very valued clients here at Process. And it seems every time I talk with him, he's away with his family on some amazing adventure. Always makes me very, very envious. Today, Daniel's going to be taking us on a bit of a journey and giving us some insights into how he and his wife founded and grew not one, but 2 highly successful businesses. Over to you, Daniel.
Thanks, Andy. Hi, everyone. I'll start off with the background behind me. For those of us stuck on the East Coast, I thought I might share a bit of Western Australia, because I don't think it might be a little while before you'll get to see it. But thanks, Andy, and thanks to Process and the Reload team for giving us the opportunity to share a little bit about our business. And thank you to Amy and Lucy for those actionable tips. Looks like a little bit of work there. So I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit of a snippet of our journey with you and give you a bit of background on how we've gotten to where we are today and what the future looks like for us. So we operate 2 e-commerce websites, and we also have bricks and mortar skincare treatment centres. And we're basically here to provide results-driven skincare advice and products to clients. And we do that for clients all across Australia. We only service Australian clients when we don't do internationally. So we're just from Australia, all from our Sydney location. Next slide. So a bit of background on why we started the business. So Sarah and I started 10 years ago, and Glow Skin Body started out of necessity. So we were looking for a bit of a better life balance as we started our family. And at the time, Sarah was working for Dermalogica. And for those of you that don't know what Dermalogica is, so they're a US-based professional skincare brand. They're one of the largest professional skincare brands in the world. And Sarah was working for them, but unfortunately was traveling for hours upon hours to get to the office. And I was on the road for at least a few days a month and working long days when I worked for a bank. So our goal was simply to set up a home treatment centre. Sarah's is a just jump back one slide for me. Our goal was to set up a treatment room to simply replace Sarah's income and make sure that we weren't spending the kids in daycare and travel. So after our birth of our first child, Lewis, Sarah would go in and see clients after I got home from work, and then would work on Saturdays as well. So jump to the next slide. So I assume that lots of people on this call started their business in the garage. And we did just that. So we built a treatment room and a little retail area in our tiny single garage, our house in Cherrybrook in the northern suburbs of Sydney. And after a few months of our home-based treatment centre, we thought that surely it wouldn't be hard to set up an online store, right? So these photos are actually of our second house, where we took up the whole ground floor for the online business. Next slide for me. Sorry, back one, sorry. So back one slide. So after countless YouTube and forum pages and weeks after, we decided to get the website up and going, and we had our first order after 6 weeks. So we built a website on Squarespace. We threw in a couple of PayPal buy now buttons, and we were up and running. Sarah would print out the orders during the day in between Lewis's sleeps, and we'd put the bubble wrap on handwrite the label and drive up to the post office and drop the handful of orders. And we'd struggle to pack on a busy day when we had 20 orders. So we eventually moved to Magento's short-lived hosted platform, Magento Go. And then we moved to Magento Community shortly after. And we've been with Shopify Plus for 18 months on Skin Mart, and 6 months ago we moved Glow Skin Body 6 months ago. So I just wish we had have done that a little bit earlier. Next slide for me. That was our beautiful. One more slide, sorry. Yep, beautiful. So this week we just finished fit out in our new 450 square metre office, warehouse and treatment centre, which for the first time brings all our advice teams, operation and marketing for the first time. So our small team of 17, we've got 6 specialists that just do skincare advice, and they're solely dedicated to providing advice for our clients. And that includes both inbound consultations, so where clients ask us for help and guidance, and also outbound advice, so where our team are making blogs, videos, tutorials and the like. So we help around 2,000 clients a week with advice, service and products online. So we do everything in-house. So we do all our advice, all our logistics, all our customer service and marketing we do in-house. And we've been lucky enough as we've grown, we've had the capacity to invest and partnering with just a few selected people or organisations to be able to do it, such as Process Creative. And they've helped us do some amazing work on not only from a branding perspective, but user experience, design and development. Next slide for me. So for us, we want to be experts at skincare and not just good at everything. So we're contacted regularly about products from distributors and manufacturers, and the temptation to sell everything, especially during COVID, was really high. So we don't do candles, we don't do hair care, we don't do COVID masks, but I will admit that we do specialised sanitizer that's gentle on your hands. Next slide for us. So a couple of the things that we've been working on is making sure that we are the most efficient that we can. So our goal is to automate the hell out of everything that we can. Anything that doesn't involve touching a client. So that allows us to invest in real service and things that add value to our clients. And we use automation to not only reduce costs, but also get the customer experience to a high level and consistently so. So we automate everything from purchase order generation to scanning inventory into stock, double scanning for picking and packing, address validation, and scanning to print shipping labels. So back in the olden days, as you can see here, is we would print all the batches of labels out and stick them to a picking slip, etc. So our goal was always no packing errors ever. The one physical moment that somebody has to do with us. So without automation, our processes and systems, we couldn't have scaled with the demands that we had during lockdown. So there were periods from the beginning of March where our order volume would double and sometimes even tripling, and tripling of our inbound advice teams as well. Next slide for me. So the next focus for us was investing in lifetime clients. So we hear a lot about how do we acquire clients, and for us it's about how do we invest in clients so that we can keep them for a longer period of time and help them along their skincare journey, rather than simply about just jumping in and helping a customer with a significant concern now. So being able to use automation helps us be able to release that capacity. And we use those for things like personal interactions. So you can see here, there's a screenshot of one of our therapists welcoming a client using a software called Bonjoro. And we do that for new clients or high value clients, or products that we need to have a little conversation about with clients that maybe are purchasing for the first times that might be high risk. So our clients can connect to a therapist directly, and it's 100% personal. So they get a video that says, hi, as you can see here, it's Sari, and she's talking to the person about a new product. So, and we've seen great response to these. Not only do people reply back and say how much they appreciate the message, but they've got a 34% higher repurchase rate than people that we haven't sent video to. And we've been trying to think about how we can provide the in-client outcomes and being able to resolve their concerns in a way that's more convenient and get better results. So not how do we just copy the in-person experience of somebody coming in for advice on their skin, but how do we make it even a better experience online? So for example, with online video consultations, our team will actually have the person bring out their products and show them their medication, their bathroom cabinet, and talk about what's inside there. Next slide for me. So as Andy said before, we do like to travel a little bit. And so a few years ago, we wanted to share our passion for healthy skin across the country because it's a really big country. And there are lots of people that don't have access to professional advice. So we took our advice roadshow around Australia, and we took 5 months to go to all corners of the country. So we packed the 3 kids and went to Queensland, northwestern WA, down the bottom WA through Western Australia, and then down back into Victoria. And we hosted lots and lots and lots of events, and primarily in regional Australia. And we saw hundreds of Australian faces and hundreds of hours of advice. And what we love seeing is those clients still coming back and asking for the next part in their skincare journey. Next slide for me. So what's next? So for us, COVID's challenged us to do things differently. And we believe that authentic, genuine, and professional is really resonating with our clients. So how can we have those conversations? And how do we get our team to be even more personal so that our client skincare journey is front and center? We're investing more into content creation than we've ever before. As you can see in the picture there, we've built a new office, a specialized studio, so that our team can produce content faster and we can get it turned around quicker. And we see our future really as the home of professional skincare results in Australia. So thanks for sharing your time, and I hope there's a little bit of insight and maybe spark some more questions. Feel free to flow them into the Q&A. I'm more than happy to answer. But if you'd like some help with getting your healthiest skin possible, our team would love to be able to help you. Here's a coupon code for $20 of your first order with us at skinmart.com.au. Thank you, everyone, and all the best for Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that, Daniel. I know just kind of watching the merchant stories are always really inspiring to me. I think it's amazing to see where you started out and where you got to, and all the sort of little bumps along the way to kind of get you where you are today. So thank you so much for your time there. Awesome. So I know Andy's put a little reminder in there about getting your questions submitted. So what we're going to do now is we're going to invite all of the panelists back to set up some Q&A. So we'll stop sharing the screen so that you can see everyone's faces. And we might just kick off with the first question. And this goes out to all panelists, so I'll hand it over to whoever wants to jump in first. But what are some of the suggestions that you guys can make for the people on the call today as to how to cut through the enormous amount of competition that we're likely going to see with marketing this Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
I can jump in there. So I spoke a little bit about authenticity. So I think it's really around trying new ideas. I mean, some of them I did present today, but as you can see, there's been a real focus on shopping local. So really looking at your local audiences, really kind of playing up the fact that you are a local business in a region, whether you're in a regional area or if you're located, but really playing up the fact that you are a local business, telling your story of your business. So whether it's, you have a small team, how you grew as a business, I think that's really going to resonate with your buyers as well. And then that ethical piece as well. So we're seeing a lot of alignment with charities and ethical donations. So looking at ways in which you can incorporate that into your messaging as well. They would probably be the two biggest standouts that we saw from that data.
Awesome. Lucinda, do you want to add?
Yeah, I would say my answer is probably off the back of Amy's. Absolutely, authenticity is really important. Having a strong brand presence. Mine is less romantic. It's just make sure you get eyes on brand, and through Facebook and Instagram, you do that by buying media properly. So using those broad audiences, really utilizing the first party data that you have, using automatic placement, just making sure that you're giving the system enough free rein to go and find the most efficient users on platform. So, and obviously you have to have the beautiful content and the authenticity in front of those people when you do get there. So I think those two answers work well together.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about you, Daniel?
I suppose I come from a little bit of a different perspective. Is I don't necessarily see Black Friday, Cyber Monday as a new client introduction. It's just so noisy out there. And how do you get an authentic message across when CPMs are so high? So it's a real good time to invest in talking to clients who already know you. So if you look at that bubble that you had up as an example, talking to those clients that already know you and being able to tell them about the value that you offer. And then using that other discussion for another time where you can talk over a bit more of a longer period of time about what your individual brand value is about over time. But I find it really hard, especially in our segment, about how to get cut through for especially new clients. So I think one of the interesting things was, what Google talking about, which is especially in the lead up to this year, is that the number 2 brand seems to get clients are just as more likely to purchase from a number 2 brand as they are from the number 1 in a ratio that is really scary. So it was like 75%, I think they said.
Yeah, excellent. And I think one of the questions I'd like to just lead on to, I know that everything we've kind of spoken about is, building up to that weekend, 4 days of sales. One of the questions that just has come through from Lana is, what kind of actions can merchants take now in the lead up to sort of get them in the best position possible to maximize that period?
Yeah, so I can jump in there. We've got a lot of merchants that are starting their sales early. As we saw from some of the stories I told around, we are seeing some merchants, customers placing items in cart and leaving them there, obviously wanting to come back at a certain point when it's on sale to see what kind of offers they've got, or they're shopping around more as well. So potentially looking at starting earlier, thinking about your email campaigns. You may have noticed for all the Shopify store owners on the platform, Shopify have just launched their BFCM campaign templates right within the Shopify admin. So having a look at those, setting up some of those campaign templates, they're out of the box, ready to go. And then whilst that's kind of running, starting to take a look at some of the strategies and how they're going to be implemented on the store. But yeah, my advice would be starting as early as possible.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think just quickly on that point, from our side anyway, making sure that the pixel is set up properly through that one-click integration. You've got the right catalog provider functioning for you properly, and you've got that feed being scheduled every 24 hours. That would be 2 big ones from us.
Yep. Anything to add, Daniel?
I think trying to go early is going to be a bit of a key, and being able to get your message out, primarily to your existing clients, or at least people that know and understand you, so that you're able to get in front of those people before somebody else does. Big box retailers, JB Hi-Fi, all of those people are going early this year, and there'll be deals all week.
Yeah, and I was actually just going to add, I spoke a little bit about and it kind of leads on from what Daniel mentioned earlier around using your existing customer base. So potentially, if you're not prepared to do anything kind of site-wide too early, maybe looking at doing an exclusive launch for your VIP customers to create a little bit of hype, kind of get that word of mouth out there. So maybe looking at that as an initiative or strategy by starting a little bit earlier that way.
Yep, fantastic. And I think just one thing I'm going to add on there as well is look at what's already working for you and see what you can just optimize for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday period, rather than trying to have to create something completely from scratch. Look at what's already working. I know that from a lot of clients we work with, we are starting to implement keyword targeting for Black Friday, Cyber Monday within their Google Ads campaigns, because the spike for those kind of search volumes go up quite a lot. So it's really good to just make sure that you can optimize what you're already doing to kind of benefit for that as well. Awesome. So this one I'm going to send out to everyone. Do you recommend switching discounts, promotions throughout the weekend, or should we stay with the same promotion for the entire time? What's potentially things that you've seen, or anything that you can add to that?
Yeah, I can jump in there. So really it's around the resources that you have available to you. And again, I did touch on it a couple of times around leveraging the data that you have and doing what works for you. So if making a discount across your entire site isn't going to work for your business, then we don't recommend doing it. There's a lot of other ways which you can increase average order value that way instead, versus just completely discounting the product. And then from a resource perspective, I know Daniel touched on automation where possible, but if you do need to have stuff, over the weekend, changing all your campaigns, tracking your data and completely switching things around, probably wouldn't recommend it. It is a period of testing and learning, but probably where you would want to stick with is really looking at any previous campaigns that you've run, look at the most successful ones that you've had, and then being able to leverage that data to make an informed decision for the weekend, and probably not completely switching up the strategy kind of mid-weekend, give it an opportunity to run, and then take that information and use it for future campaigns.
Yeah, and I think that would then feed into what you were saying as well, Lucy, is that, Facebook goes through the learning period. So you don't want to be changing things on the weekend and then all of a sudden it has to start learning again. So kind of try and find that promotion that you're happy to stick with for the whole weekend.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, I actually just spoke to a client this morning and they want to do a daily deal type situation. And I said, it's just not going to work on platform because your CPAs are going to be horrendously high because of all the learning and change. The other thing I would say is a pretty good rule of thumb, and I hope no one has kids around, but don't piss Friday's customer off with Monday's offer. Basically, if you're going to have two different offers, make sure that they're not going to cause a customer service nightmare, and that they're equally good, and you're not going to get people emailing you saying, well, why didn't I get this or why didn't I get that? So on the learning piece, strategically, try not to make any changes. It's not going to function for you as it should. And then, don't cause yourself an unnecessary customer service nightmare either.
Yeah.
On that, the only thing that I'll just jump in. If we're going to do a daily deal type activity, then you just promote the hell out of the fact that you're having daily deals rather than what the actual daily deal is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was just going to add to that, one of the examples I gave was the kind of tier discounting, starting off, 40, 30, 20 over the 3 days. But that's very clear what that is, using that for all of your creative, all of your promotions, all of your content. And again, that's really just to create urgency kind of at the beginning of the 4-day weekend. But it's very clear, what those discounts are, so that you don't have customers that get a surprise that there's a higher discount on Monday or something like that.
One thing that I might add as well is just think about customer segmentations as well. So you can offer different promotions to different customer segments if that makes sense to do so. So one of the things we're encouraging clients to do is think about your VIPs. Oftentimes, if you've got a really, really great promotion, those products might sell out. So that's an incentive for those VIPs to get in early. They've got exclusive access, maybe 24, 48 hours prior to everybody else. Then they feel special and acknowledged. But also think about things like BOGOs and quantity breaks like Amy had suggested, and don't be afraid to experiment. I think sometimes people get a bit of paralysis in terms of, what's the perfect strategy there. Just try a few things out and see what's going to work with you and what resonates with your audience.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm conscious of time because we only have 2 minutes left. And there were a lot of questions submitted. So thank you everyone for submitting those. If we haven't got to it, we will be recording these and we'll try and come back to everyone that we can directly. But I wanted to kind of close out and I want to go around to each of the speakers today and just ask if you could recommend one key thing for all merchants on this call that they have to do for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. What would that one recommendation be? We might start off with you, Daniel.
Oh,
you're at the top of my screen, so lucky you.
Thanks. It would just be prepared. If you don't have the promotion calendar locked in now, let it be the number one thing sitting on your list, because everything takes longer than you think. Everyone wants to do exactly what you're doing now, which is like as Lucy was saying, even Facebook, Google Merchant Center promotions, all of those things are going to take longer. And you know, if you use an agency, their resources are going to be limited.
Yeah, fantastic. Lucy, you're off mute, so I'm handing to you.
Cool. Yeah, I think for me, I would say keep things as simple as possible from a setup standpoint. Also, from a website standpoint, make sure if you do have a discount, it's simple. The mechanics are simple. So if you're going to do site-wide, make sure the code's working. I think just efficiency and simplicity are my two massive tips.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Amy?
Yeah, and mine's going to be, I know that we presented a lot of different ideas today, but it would be really around using all of the data that you've captured over your time having a store, seeing what works. You know your customer better than anyone else, and then implementing a strategy that's going to work best for you, and then having it run across the weekend. So whether that is, you know, I've mentioned a number of them, starting as early as possible, being prepared, but just making sure that it's going to work best for you and it's not going to affect, you know, be detrimental to the business.
Yep. And Andy, is there anything that you want to add? What's your top tip?
I'd probably say just test, and test again. If anything's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong at scale and very, very fast. So that's not, you know, to put a panic in there, but just make sure you're doing your due diligence, going through the site, testing it on different devices, checking that those discount codes and promotions are actually working.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I'd kind of add to that is that don't get caught up in that Black Friday, Cyber Monday is it, because there's going to be so many things you can do with that customer after. Really try and think about what happens after the Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaign. If that's a customer that was their first time purchasing with you, how can you continue to nurture them to become a loyal returning customer? So yeah, don't just focus on this. Think about how they can fit into the overall strategy as well. Fantastic. Well, we are on time, 11:31. I just want to thank everyone for coming along today, and a huge thank you to all of our speakers. I know that this time of year can be really crazy, so the fact that you are able to all take an hour out of your day to come and present, and also the time that it took to put all of those slides together. I know I can speak for everyone when I say that everything was super informative. I know there were some really amazing actionable tips out of that, so thank you all so much. We do have a couple of things here. Excuse the messy page. Like, I put this together last minute. It's very valuable, but it doesn't look that great. There's a whole bunch of different resources here that you guys will have access to. So there's a few bits from Shopify that talk about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and even a really cool checklist that you can download and use. All of the resources that Lucinda had in her presentation are there as well. And obviously the meetup code from the team at SkinMart. Finally, if you do need support with your Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaign, please feel free to get in touch with Reload. If you follow that bit.ly link, you can book in a 15-minute consultation, quick chat with one of our digital strategists to kind of help you get ready for Black Friday, Cyber Monday if you don't know what those next steps are. And obviously, if you need any help with anything from a dev side or design, please feel free to hit up the team at Process Creative. We will send through this whole resource page as well in our wrap-up. And obviously the recording too. But again, just thanks everyone for coming. Please feel free to follow us on our meetup pages on Twitter, and hopefully we see you at another meetup in person sometime next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. Awesome. Thanks everyone so much again. And any questions that we didn't come back to, we will try and get to them as soon as we can. Thanks, everybody.